Welcome back to the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast. My name is Josh. This is episode 146. Coming to you Christmas Day is when this drops. So Merry Christmas to everyone who's watching. I'm here, Troy. What's going on, bud?
Not a whole lot. I don't know. I don't have anything to say really. I'm excited for Christmas, but I'm excited for a break. I think I've just had a lot of hockey. So we have a break for 2 days and then it's back to high school hockey tournament. And then my Pee Wee team goes to Bemidji in a couple days. So we got all that picks up again, but it'll be nice to have a break from work, break from a job, all that.
That's one thing that maybe people outside of, I don't know, maybe it's a bigger deal outside of Minnesota too, but high school or Christmas high school hockey tournaments are a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge deal. It's like, you get all the best teams usually. Like we're in one of the best, obviously. It's like us, Moorhead, Edina, Andover. I mean, there's 4 of the top 10 right there. And then there's some other ones that will have the rest of the top 10 teams in it. So it's fun.
Mm-hmm. You surviving? You sound better.
I do
again.
Yeah. Today was the first day I woke up and I was like, okay, I don't feel sick, but I'll have a cough here and there, but that's it now. It's no fever, none of that other garbage I was going through for the last 6-7 days. Feel good now.
A lot of people have been messaging you on social media to feel better. So that's kind of nice that you have people in your corner wishing you well.
Yeah, that's definitely nice. It helps when you're, well, I didn't even see a lot of them till recently because I was sleeping the whole time. There was one day I slept. I mean, I've never slept that long in my life. I think I slept the whole day. I was like, took everything off. I'm like, I'm just going to bed. Forget this.
I have that dream. Someday I'd love to take like an 8-hour nap one day. But then I probably wouldn't sleep right for a week after that. Okay, big Christmas show today, and we're going to get right into it. But before we do, just a reminder that the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a Patreon podcast, which means that we rely on support from listeners like yourself to help us cover our show expenses, continue to produce more and hopefully better hockey card content, and help us fund initiatives, even in a small way, to grow the hockey hobby. You can support us by joining our out of $1.99 support level tier on Patreon, where you get exclusive access to the Hockey Cards Gong Show Discord server, as well as helping us out. It's $5 a month. It starts at $5 a month, I should say. And we also do some other kind of fun things through our Discord community. One of those is our 5K challenge. And I heard, Troy, from our guy Louie, who's helping us be, I don't know, man in charge, commissioner, whatever you want to call it. He spent all day today doing the leaderboard and an update. Because
awesome.
we're, how many people were there? There wasn't like a ton, like less than 20, right? People
there's a ton of work though. When we did it last year, we were horrible at it, and we only updated it like once or twice before the final. I think we did 3 updates maybe, and that was with 6. I think 6 people total or 7, and that took forever. So Louis doing.
They're doing yeoman's work. It took Louis all day to do it. He said that. But my point on the less than 20 is the winner gets a box of the cup.
Yeah.
Right. And
the good cup, right? 2020, 21, the cup. Is that the good cup?
Kaprizov sticker cup, as it'll ever be known.
Kaprizov sticker cup.
To me. I'm not going. I think on Thursday's show we're going to show the leaderboard and see who's doing well there or winning, I guess, at this point to get the cup. So you get to do stuff like that. And it's just a great community with a bunch of amazing people, and we've made tons of friendships in there. So we're very grateful to that. It's very easy to support us. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, click on the Become a Patron link at the top of the page. You go directly to the Patreon website, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. We put a link in the show description in both all the podcast apps, as well as our YouTube description as well. And then in our TikTok and Instagram profile, there's a link to our Patreon there too. We have 2 new patrons since last show. We have, I got to look it up real quick. Hold on. On air production meeting, because Baglio. Because he didn't join Discord yet. So S Baglio, you know who you are. Join Triple Diamond. So we have a new Triple Diamond member, which is awesome. And
thank you.
Very, very appreciative to that. And message us so you get the link to Discord, because we want to see you in there. And then Sweet Card Bro, which is pretty awesome.
I like that.
Discord name, joined our out of 199 as well. Well, there's really no game plan today, Troy, because there's one time. It's a big topic. It's a meaty topic, a very topic, and we're just going to kind of roll right into it now. This is our Christmas episode. By the time you're listening to this, Troy's probably had 12 glasses of eggnog and is like facing out the bathroom somewhere. Who knows? Who knows what's going on with us celebrating this day? But a very exciting day for us on our show. Masterclass is back, Troy. It's been a minute for Masterclass, but we're here with part 3 of our Masterclass series on the Cup. Very good timing since 2021-22. The Cup just released a few days ago. If by chance you have not heard parts 1 or 2 of the Cup Masterclass, they're going to be in the description on the podcast apps and also on the YouTube description as well to check those out. And then also, if you're interested in any of our other Masterclass topics, you can again go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and check out all of our master classes on the site there as well. But let's get to it, Troy. Here's part 3 of the master class covering the Cup releases, which again is part 3. It starts with the 2016-17 Cup release and rolls through the newest release, which was just about a week ago, led by special guest and Cup expert Mitch Gropman. So everyone, I hope you enjoy part 3 of our masterclass series on the Cup. All right, we are very pleased and excited to welcome back to the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast our good friend and Cup expert Mitch Gropman for part 3 of our Masters Class series on the Cup, which is very timely given that the 2021-22 release comes out in about, well, I think it'll be out maybe a day or two before this airs. And actually the topic in part 3 of the Cup is more the modern era, I guess, and the last few releases of the Cup, so very timely in that regard. It's been a minute since part 2. This is actually, I think, the only masterclass we've had multiple parts, and so we not only did we have a sequel, we just went right to the trilogy. And here we go, Mitch. Thank you for joining us again, and welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, guys. I'm excited for this one.
Okay, so the place I want to start is when we first were, months ago now, we're talking about doing a masterclass on the Cup, masterclass on the Cup. We had decided to break it up into 3 different parts and basically take it by eras. And I think so. The first part was 2005-06, which was the first year the Cup was released, through the 2009-10 release. That was Masterclass Series Part 1, which will be in the show description. You can also find on our Hockey Cards Gong Show website if you missed that one. And then we did part 2, which was 2010-11 through 2015-16, which was the McDavid, Cup year. And then now today we're going to do 2016-17 through the newest release of the Cup. And that was your idea. It was a very good idea. But can you talk to the audience about why that you thought it made the most sense to break up the Cup into those 3 chunks?
Yeah, so for the first chunk, to me, that is, denotes a particular era, so to speak, for the Cup. Those early 5 Cup products that were built by Carving Chung, who is the person that actually, he's kind of the brainchild behind the product. He then left for Panini, and then 10-11 to 2015-16 is kind of the second era, if you will. And that was before Billy Cilio became product manager. And then after that, in 2016-17 to now, those are the ones that he built. So I kind of did it that way. It just happened to kind of conveniently break out basically into thirds, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so we're at the modern era of the Cup, and the most modern of the 3 parts, and it's going to start in 2016-17. So we're going to let you kind of pass the conch over to you, Mitch, and just like you have before, let us be or let you be the tour guide through these. So what would that be? 16-17. What the next 4 releases, and then the 5th one, which is really right now, correct?
5 plus.
5 plus. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, well, we'll go ahead and let's learn more about the cup.
Yeah, so we're gonna start with 2016-17, the cup. So one thing you'll notice is that they were pretty consistent up until basically COVID with their release time. So this is October, and the next three are all also going to be in October of the following year. So October 25th, 2017. I liked doing the guess the price at release.
Oh yeah.
So this is a big rookie class. So people were definitely pretty hyped for this, even following the McDavid year previously. So that's a small hint. So you guys want to take a stab at the release day price?
You go first, Troy, so I can prices right you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say $450.
I'm gonna go $525.
All right, so Josh wins this one unless we do prices right rules. It's $550.
Okay.
But what's interesting about it is that it got to $650 for about a month, and then it went back down to $550, and then kind of stayed around the $500-$600 mark for the rest of the year. And that's for Dave and Adam's prices. And for people that are curious, I think I mentioned this on previous episodes, but I'm able to find that information through the Wayback Machine that shows historical websites. So 2016-17, well, I'll kind of do it, the same way I've done the previous one. So I'll state who the big rookies are, what the new sets were, and what else might just be interesting or important. So the out of 99 rookies this year was, I think, one of the better classes. Patrick Laine, Mitch Marner, Jesse Puljujarvi, William Nylander, Jimmy Vesey, and Austin Matthews. But then there were a ton of really good rookies out of 249. I mean, 4 out of those 6 are still great players, but for it not being a double rookie class, I think it's pretty loaded. So there's Matthew Tkachuk, Sebastian Aho, Matthew Barzal, Zach Werenski, Kyle Connor, Jake Gensel, Braden Point. I mean, there's even more, but those were just kind of like the top guys. But that's way more than almost any other year besides double rookie class years. So to me,
it's like a Maple Leafs collector's dream.
Oh yeah, getting that like trio. I mean, it's pretty crazy there. But yeah, so this is because of the depth of the class, and obviously, there's always from the beginning there was a ton of hype for Austin Matthews. He had that was it 4 or 5 goals his first game?
I think 4 goals his first game. And I have a question for you, going back to the price real quick.
Yeah.
So, and this is just a kind of if you remember type thing, I think. Mm-hmm. But was there an outcry that the cup went up again in price after the McDavid year?
So I do have some memory of this, but you have to understand that pretty much every year there's outcry for the cost of the cup. Sure. Like, no matter what the price has been historically, you're gonna see those Facebook comments like, hey, like, I'm paying all this, and then they have they'll reference like, I purchased like a blaster box and they were all damaged, like, how can you charge X amount of dollars? You're always gonna get that. One thing about this release in particular is that most of the products that year had Austin Matthews as a redemption. So one of the things that people were pretty excited about was that he was live in the cup. So if you go back in time and you want to bust a box of SP Authentic from 2016-17, trying to chase like Austin Matthews Future Watch, you're going to be pretty disappointed if you pull or expired redemption today. So that is, so there was a lot going for it. In terms of, so there people were pretty excited, just because, again, the rookie class was like pretty loaded. So I think the price was justifiable. At least, back then. I mean, today, $550 for a tin of the cup seems like the steal of the century. So one of the big updates that has continued today is the introduction of the button parallel, which are green. So they've been green from the beginning, not including the like the trios, quads, and sixes that have the tag and the button parallel. So they actually had buttons in 15-16 in the cup, but they were only in those multiplayer cards. But now every rookie and vet with men pretty much had the button parallel. And like it kind of made the cup, so before you had the tag that was red.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the first like colored parallel. And now with the introduction of the buttons, it becomes like the cup kind of became a more colorful set, which a lot of people think, there's obviously, you get more rare hits from having something like a button. But there's something to be said about more colorful things not being associated with luxury items. So one thing that Carving Chung, who invented the cup, said to me that really stuck with me in thinking back on the earlier years of the cup, he said he wanted to design a luxury product. When you think of like, a BMW, a Rolls Royce, or a Rolex, like what colors do you associate with those products? Pretty much black, gold, silver, white. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And if you go back to those cup years that he designed, they were pretty much every card was limited to those colors. And in my opinion, I think he had a great point when it comes to, what is going to give that luxury feel. I think when I think of those colorful parallels, I think of products like O-Pee-Chee Premier. I think of like Prism and other sports. I don't think of, high-end luxury items. So in my opinion, I would prefer that the buttons, maybe they had like some alternate photo or some other way of distinguishing them. They don't even need, I guess they could be exactly the same, but just with the button and not the green foil. But overall, my feeling is less color in the cup, because in my opinion, it does detract from that luxury feel.
Okay, so I have a bunch of comments and questions about
Yeah.
and I think it's a really interesting point that you make. Troy and I were just talking about, I can't remember the context, but we were looking at a card on our show a week or so ago that had like the laundry tag. And we kind of went through the alternate sort of pieces that we're seeing in cards now. So whether it's the button, the tag, the laundry tag, or the fight strap are the ones you see most often. I kind of don't like any of them. And I really don't like the button does nothing for me. I mean, what a button, it's just, it seems so kind of strange. Right. And I would take a higher numbered patch card over a lower numbered button card any day of the week. So what do you think? I'm just curious your personal thoughts on the whole concept of like a button. Does it do anything for you as a collector?
For me personally, buttons and tags do nothing. For me, I have none of them in my collection. I don't like them aesthetically. Buttons in particular are also very annoying because they're 360 point, which is, just it's almost like the same level of annoying for me as a booklet in terms of storage and just even just getting a one touch for a button is kind of a pain. Your local hobby shop probably doesn't even have it.
Yeah.
So personally, yeah. And then the other thing is aesthetically, they don't really do anything for me at all compared to like a nice patch. Even I mean, so in my opinion, these are things that were not in memorabilia cards for a long time, but were part of the jersey that they were probably not using because there's so little of it. So when they first came out, I think there was a lot of appeal because so little of the jersey is either the button or the tag. So you knew just from it being what it was that it was rare because so little of the jersey had those components. But I think what kind of gets lost in the sauce is that they're kind of ugly. I think most people that I speak to that collect Cup are not interested in the buttons and the tags. I mean, they still have, huge demand from collectors of those rookie cards. I'd be interested to see a comparison of, how the true RPA sells versus the tag versus the button versus the gold. That's something I haven't looked into that much myself, but I would be really interested to see if you would expect it to be, kind of proportionate to the print runs, but because people prefer patches to buttons and tags, maybe they aren't. I'd be interested to see what that looks like. Maybe someone else could take on
and
that
actually
project.
remember the context now. So Troy and I were looking at, it was at 2019 or 2020, the Cup. It was a Connor McDavid 101 like quad foundations, the 4-patch card, and it was the 101 had like laundry tags, in a laundry tag, and then it had some other tag, and then we looked at the out of 5 that had just 4 beautiful 4-color patches, and I'm like, I would want the out of 5 like any day of the week out of the 101. It's just, and so I was just curious as to your general thoughts about the just those sort of alternative memorabilia pieces. But
Yeah,
thanks, Ryan.
I've even gone, to the extent where I've passed on cards that I would have otherwise bought because they had tags in them as opposed to patches. Like the foundations in particular, or even like early 10, 11, 101 auto patches where they started putting tags in it. I've been completely dissuaded from laundry directions. The other thing I don't like is when they put the May grade tag in the card, because those are stitched onto the jerseys after the game. So the May grade tag is not my gray. May gray? I think it's my gray. Now that I'm saying it.
Yeah.
The my gray tag is not actually worn in the game, which is the part of the component or the part of the jersey that I care about that it was used in a game.
Makes sense.
Okay, so aside from the buttons, there were some new subsets. One that I think is actually very cool is called Laced Up, and they actually took pieces of skate. Let's see if I can find one here. Maybe they didn't put it on the product preview. Oh well. All right, so these are laced up. So they're literally part of the skate with the laces cut in. Are either out of 6 or out of 8. The checklist is really weird. It's like Zach Parise is obviously one of them. It's PK Subban, Max Pacioretty, Bob Bond, and then Evgeny Malkin and Alex Ovechkin. So obviously, like Ovechkin is the chase in that set. It's a very small set. They all look like this. They're really thick cards. They might be 360 point. I haven't held one in a very long time, but they're very thick, as you can imagine. The piece of the skate actually being put into the card, but they all look like this. It's the only year they ever made them. I'm guessing they're probably not worth sourcing the skates for so few cards, but I think they're very cool. The only sale I could find on Terapeak for any card from that set was a Malkin sold last year for $260. So they're, there's how many on eBay right now? There's these 3 are on eBay. There's 2 Pacioretty and a Parise. And you're not, I mean, I wouldn't pay this much for these cards, but I mean, if Malkin's 260, that seems pretty cool for what it is. I think also people just aren't really aware that these cards exist, so that probably impacts the price.
But I think here's a good example, going back to our last conversation for a couple seconds about just how, I mean, when you want alternative memorabilia pieces outside of just the patch, that that's something that is more appealing to me. Do you like that better, Troy, than like a button or a tag? Would you?
Yeah, I'm really honed in on the patches, but if there's something else, I would definitely prefer a lace over the button. The button is the one that just bugs me the most. I just don't ever want one of those, and that's just me personally. But I do like I like thinking out of the box, and I do like them trying new stuff. But at the end of the day, I just really come back to the patch half the time.
So I just shared on my screen a Foundations with a piece of glove.
Yeah, there you go. That's cool to me.
You guys like the glove?
I do.
Love it.
This might be
You don't?
but to me, this is very cool. Like much cooler than a tag or a button.
Yeah.
Like I have no issue with this as opposed to, this.
There's a lot. Yeah.
This is ugly. I mean, at least they have like the wings, which is cool. But the 56, like with the, I mean, and then here's with the Migray, and then the fight strap. And I think, I think we're all in agreement. We just would prefer the patches, how they used to all be.
Well, fight strap on a goalie is kind of a oxymoron, but
yeah,
unless you're Osgood and whoever he fought.
Ron Hextall.
Yeah, Hextall, one of those guys.
Yeah.
Should have been Flower, except for the referee. Darn it.
Yeah. Flower and Bennington.
And then, so here you can see so these are the first veteran button cards in the cup. So, I mean, great players, but, I'm with you guys. They look strange. And then they have
those are 2016-17 right there. The ones that you're
still on 2016-17. So it might be a long episode, but but even like, and I know like I understand like why this is the case, but I don't like Ovechkin on a Russian player on an American team with the Canada flag on the card.
Yeah.
I mean, same with Yager. He's Czech. I guess if it was like, a Canadian player on a Canadian team, then it wouldn't be as offensive to me. But I just, these really don't do anything for me.
And those are tags because that's the jerseys were made in Canada, right? So they're
right.
Yeah, that they were, and that's why Ovechkin has a. But it is kind of, it reminds me of the whole like Guy Lafleur in a Nordiques jersey and a Canadiens patch sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and then the other thing is that they make the choice to have red pen, because there's red foil, but then you have red pen on red jersey, which that's not going to stand out very much. Even like Tavares's is like you almost have to like squint.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think at least the autographs on the green, they look great. Like this is one of the better examples of Steve Yzerman's signature, in my opinion. So so I'm glad they didn't go green here. And then the Monumentals always look insane. I mean, this is a crazy card. Look at that.
Yeah, it's a Patrick Waugh with the Yeti foot.
Yeah,
as the monumental patch.
I should describe the card since not everyone's watching.
Yeah. Well, we could kind of fill that in too. But was there anything that how much variety is there in the monumental booklets each year? Are they fairly consistent, or is there anything significant about them in 2016?
I think this was a year where they did a pretty good job with it. I would say it's pretty consistent, pretty good selection of players usually, with a good amount of variety. I mean, not including the checklist like just came out for most recent cup, but prior to that, they usually do a pretty good job with the monumentals.
And does Upper Deck do a good job of switching it up every year with the monumentals? Because a lot of like the sets we get trapped into now with the new releases where you have the biggest cards, it's like if there's an insert, you have to have a McDavid, you have to have a Matthews, and you have to have an Ovechkin and a Crosby every time.
Yeah, I would say recently they probably have not done a great job of that. Like, I think there's probably 4 or 5 versions of this card, which is the Sidney Crosby monumental with the penguin head. Mm-hmm. So I would say like we should find new Sidney Crosby monumental patches. If it were up to me, I wouldn't repeat monumentals, which has happened several times. That's probably the most egregious example I can think of, but I've seen this Ovechkin monumental patch more than once too, with the Eagle shoulder patch, and I mean, it is probably the coolest patch that you can get on the Capitals jersey right now, so I understand it, but I'd rather them use that Eagle patch for limited logos or something at that point.
Or at least do like home jersey, away jersey, reverse retro, all-star jersey. If you want to have an Ovechkin card, just don't repeat. And I think that's been one of the things that hopefully gets corrected in the near future is that I think what we're finding is when no matter the card, when you repeat it, if there's an Ovechkin or if there's a McDavid PMG retro every year, at some point they just it just gets too repetitive.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I know there's like several of the McDavid oil drop monumentals. So, how many times can you make that card? But at the same time, I think they're one of the more aesthetically pleasing subsets that Upper Deck has put in the cup since inception, and I think the prices reflect that. They're really beautiful cards. Enough for me to look past the fact that they're booklets. So moving on, so these are pretty cool in my opinion. These were introduced in 2016-17 the Cup. So these are the autograph ticket booklets. So on one side of the booklet, you have the autograph and then the date of the ticket, and then their stat line. And then on the right side, you have the actual piece of the ticket put into the card. To me, this is a very, very cool subset. Again, it's a booklet, but you can't really do this on one card anyway, so I can forgive it. But this is the first year they did it. They ended up doing it for 3 years. I don't know why they stopped doing it. I guess I think they're doing it in some capacity in the new release. But
one of the things Troy and I were talking about that is that there's really no tickets anymore.
I guess that does make it harder. Yeah, I actually didn't think about that. Yeah, they don't have tickets anymore. I wish they did. I was at the game last year. Like, his 800th goal, and I wish I had a ticket for it, but there's no way really to do it.
Well, and what I particularly love in cards, and I'm going to get to later on when we're talking about especially the new release and maybe ideas for how to take the cup to that next level, is cards that kind of capture a moment in time. So like you're showing the Ovechkin out of like 16, and it's a ticket from like January 11th, 2019, where he scored his 1,000th NHL point. So you have an Ovechkin autograph, you have him inscribed that he scored his 1,000th NHL point, and then you have a piece of that ticket. That hits like all the hobby feels right there for me that you would ever want in a card right there, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think they really did a great job with that subset.
And I've never seen. Had you ever seen these cards before, Troy? This is the first time I've seen any of these.
I'm not sure if I have ever seen. I don't think so. These are looking new to me. They're hitting a part of my brain. It's like in overdrive now, trying to look at this.
They must not go up for sale very often, I would assume.
No, I mean, as you can see, they're very rare. Because Patrick will have a 4.
Oh, I don't know about. I don't know about the Flames. I know it's this ticket stuff, but it's got the.
It must have been an away game.
Well, so not only is it an away game, but it's a Stanley. Patrick Waugh's first ever Stanley Cup final game. Yeah, so to me, it's like very much forgiven.
Plus that's the card's basis. First Stanley Cup final.
Exactly.
Game.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
They're pretty cool things. They're not like random ones, except for Crosby didn't inscribe it. I'm sure there is some significance to this game, but he didn't inscribe it. But all the other ones are pretty much inscribed. I guess Gretzky's not, but I don't know what that is. But
it is a Kings versus Oilers game.
Yes.
So it's got that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of really cool ones. I mean, this was just 1 goal, 1 assist for Steve Yzerman. So not the coolest stat line, but a lot of them, in my opinion, they look really nice. But yeah, you won't see them too often because they're all pretty rare.
Yeah.
Another interesting change from 2016-17 the Cup, if I can find one. Maybe I can't. But the signature patches, which has been a subset every year since the first year of the Cup, in 2016-17, they changed the name of the set to Signature Materials. And I asked Billy Cilio why the name was changed. And he said it was so that the subset would not be limited to just jersey swatches. However, I have not actually seen them put anything other than a jersey into those cards. So I guess it was, to prepare in the event that it does happen. But to my knowledge, I could be wrong. I haven't looked at every card, but I don't believe that they've put any pads or gloves or anything into the signature materials cards. But I think it's an interesting change nonetheless. And then the last thing I'll mention before we move on to the next year is the introduction of this subset, which is one of my favorite new subsets of the Cup. The Cup top 10 picks. And it's numbered out of their draft position. So here's Roberto Luongo, 4th overall pick, numbered out of 4. Everyone in the subset was a top 10 pick. Everything makes sense. The numbering is cool. I love subsets that are numbered out of irregular numbers that have some significance. Like honorable numbers are out of the jersey number. The early Stanley Cup titleists are out of the how many Stanley Cups they won, All-Star royalty numbered out of how many All-Star games they played in. I think those cards are really cool. They're really fun to chase because you have a wide array of scarcity. So to me, cards like this are very Cup. Like these types of things are what I think of when I think of high-end autograph subsets in the Cup. So I think they did a great job with this one. Here's the McDavid one of one, obviously, because he was the first overall pick. Yeah. So to me,
now that's in 2016 though, so that's not a McDavid rookie.
No, yeah. So all of I mean, I think they have some that are rookies, but they're all going to be photographed from their draft day to kind of go with the top 10 pick theme. So yeah, not a rookie card, but a photo of him before he played.
Gotcha.
So
I kind of want to do something with. Oh, you want to say something? Go ahead, Troy.
Well, I'm just gonna laugh because if you look at the right hand side of the comments, Mitch was talking about how every year people complain about the price. Like the third comment is someone they've increased the price again. It's criminal from Upper Deck if you're looking at the YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So to me, that's kind of funny. I just saw that and I had to mention it.
Yeah, this guy, you can't afford them. This guy says Upper Deck with another awful product.
Yeah, I just cracks me up like seeing that stuff.
Okay, so I want to do this with each of the release years. Yeah. And I'll let you pick the scale. Do you want to do like 1 out of 10 or like letter grades? I want to get kind of so 26-17 the Cup. Is it X out of 10 or A, B, C, D, E, F? Or E is not a grade. A, B, C, D, F.
What am I rating it like based off of like the value or like how much I like the designs or
overall grade? Just overall, like, is this a top tier release of the Cup or is it a bottom tier, when compared to all the other years?
Okay, I'll put it this way. I would probably put this year first out of all of the years that I'm going to talk about in this episode.
Okay.
Makes sense.
There you go. So it's only downhill from here.
Okay, so that being said, we're going to move on to 2017-18 the Cup. And this was a pretty I don't know, the opposite of hype release. People were not very excited about this one. There was kind of this like hobby lull in 2017-18 because the rookie class was considered pretty weak at the time. It's luckily in the last like year or two, I would say that the class is really appreciated compared to how it was perceived back in the day. So do we want to take a stab at the price?
Troy, your honor, Troy.
Yeah, so it was, let's go 5. No, I'm gonna go 475.
I'm gonna go 500.
It was 430.
Ooh,
I didn't go down far enough. I knew just you kind of gave a hint when we talked about the class. So I knew it had to be less.
So not only was it 430, but I'll tell you guys, like I purchased a box of 2017-18 the Cup in June of 2020 for $330 on David Adams.
Wow.
On David Adams too. So I mean,
yeah.
Wow.
So that was like, and it wasn't like a blowout sale where it was gone in 5 seconds. Like I bought it after thinking about it for 2 weeks. So to give you an idea, in June of 2020, you could buy a box of the Cup for $330. Just to kind of put into perspective how much the price has changed for a box of the Cup.
Did you open it or did you keep it?
I opened. Oh, actually, no. I gave it to my dad as a gift for Father's Day.
That's nice.
Yeah. He didn't get anything crazy. I'm trying to remember like what the big hit was. I remember we got a dual scripted swatches of Jake Gensel and another Penguin that wasn't Crosby or Malkin or Fleury. And then a triple Sharks patch that my dad gave back to me, and then I gave it as a gift to another friend who I knew needed it. Nothing crazy in that tin, but I felt like for $330, it was worth the dice roll at the time. So the out of 99 rookies that year are Alex Tuch, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Alex DeBrincat, Charlie McAvoy, Clayton Keller, and Brock Besser. However, there are an additional 2 out of 99 rookies who did not have autographs because they signed exclusive autograph deals with Leaf. So Nolan Patrick and Nico Hischier, who are the top 2 picks of the draft, which is a huge reason why the year of products were seen pretty low in terms of rookie crop tiers. Because so basically that whole year, those guys never had any autographs. Eventually, Nico Hischier ended up signing with Upper Deck and they made updates. Nolan Patrick, we all know what happened with his career, and he, I believe to this day, has never signed an Upper Deck card. I will just, this is not a Cup fact, but I think it's worth mentioning that Leaf actually put Leaf stickers onto Nolan Patrick Young Gun canvas cards and then slabbed them. And then that was kind of like a product hit, which a lot of people were very critical of at the time. We don't have to talk about Leaf, but I thought that was a very interesting decision to do that. And then
I wonder how legal that was, if that violated any sort of intellectual property or anything like that. But
I wonder. That'd be a good question for someone at Upper Deck if they ever did anything with that. In terms of the notable rookies that were not out of 99, for a while, it kind of felt like none of these rookies were really going to pan out. But last year, we had Jesper Bratt, Aiden Hill, and Tage Thompson all kind of take off, which has really increased the firepower of this rookie class, thankfully. So in terms of new subsets for that year, the first thing I want to talk about is the introduction of Razor's Edge. There's another skate set that they did once. So those are out of 10. Let's see if I can find a picture of it in the preview here. Yeah, here it is. To me, I think these are also very slick looking cards. So here's Mario Lemieux with a piece of the blade. I like the fact that the blade is really the only thing that ever touches the ice. To me, that makes these very cool cards. The top of the card is acetate, which I like. I think overall the design's pretty sleek. It kind of, it almost looks like ice behind the player. So I actually was a fan of these cards. They're out of 10, and I think there were only 10 cards in the set. So there's only 100 of these cards that have ever existed, so they're pretty rare, and they don't command a lot of money. I mean, I guess they could have probably been a little more generous with the swatch of the blade, but I mean, overall, I think they're really nice looking cards. The other big thing that they did this year, and you can kind of see them here all splayed out, is prior to this year, they only ever did Cup rookie tributes of 0506, which is this design here,
Sure.
the Crosby and Ovechkin design. And then they decided to do from all the way up to 0910 for this release. A lot of them, I think all of them, I could be wrong, are veteran players. Like here's Patrick Waugh with a sick shoulder patch, or not shoulder, a chest patch. Here's a Steven Stamkos. So this is from the Malkin and Kopitar rookie year of 0607. Here's a Patrick Laine from the 0708 rookie year, which is Taves and Kane and Carey Price. And then these ones are 0809. Here's a Taves from 0910. So they really kind of just went full send with the rookie tributes this year, and they have not stopped since then. So prior to that, you just had the 0506. The ones out of 10 were the North American players, and those were called Crosby tributes. And then you had the European players out of 5. Those were called Ovechkin tributes. But from here on out, they're just called 0506 tributes. So they did change the way that they're delineated on the checklist.
Yeah, as you were talking, and what was going through my mind is, and you kind of already answered it, but was this the start of the tribute palooza that we've seen relentlessly for the past number of years now? Where, and I think that we've been gotten the sense that they're going to start pulling back on that a little bit now, but yeah, it seems like they went hog wild here.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm not a fan of the tributes myself. I think they're. I could understand them in limited quantities, but in the scale that they've created them, I think it makes the designs very confusing. Like what is what, especially now that we're at the point where they've started to make the same tribute for the same player on the same team twice, which to me is I think that's something that never should have happened. I don't know if that was a mistake or an oversight, but that exists now, and I find that to be very confusing as a collector.
Well, like a tribute, then I know this wouldn't make sense because there wasn't RPAs in the Muse era, but if you had a player like Crosby and well, I'll use a better example. Let's say like with Bedard, if you wanted to do a tribute to Patrick Kane's rookie, where you're actually doing it in a tribute to here's a generational talent for the Blackhawks, and to honor the last big talent for the Blackhawks that came in. We're going to do that. Makes sense to me. It's like, oh, I see the connection. They're connecting the dots between Kane and Bedard, but now it's just tribute anywhere and everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I think that would be a great, thoughtful way of doing it. I think that would be awesome to have. But unfortunately, what we get is what we get. Sure. So yeah, I mean, they did all of the years. I don't think they have. Or no, they have all 5 years here. And then the other thing that they added, let's see if I can find it real quick. Color coded. So, in my opinion, these cards are beautiful. I have no problem with them being in the cup. But what is strange about color coded cards is that they were first released in 1617 Upper Deck Black. And then in 1718, they put the same exact card and subset into the cup. Since then, they've made a few changes. Like I have a white one now, whereas in black, they didn't. But the numbering is more scarce in the cup. So the rookies are at 44 and the veterans are at 33. in 2017-18, and then after that it's 33 and 22. And now they have like some horizontal ones. I think they're very nice aesthetically, but I do. That's another thing that I think is confusing for collectors when you have the same subset in multiple sets. I think to this day, people have like so much confusion about exquisite and where that comes from and what that means and what the brand even is. So I personally am in favor of not putting more subsets into cup. So speaking of which, I'll briefly mention this since it now is in the cup, but 2017-18 is also the year that Splendor came out as a standalone product. It only came out the 1 year, and then since then has been put into the cup. Do you guys want to take a guess at how much Splendor cost per pack at release?
Per pack or per box? Was it one pack?
One pack per box, yeah.
Oh my gosh! Well, now you say that, I'm gonna go all over the place. I don't know. I'll say 400.
I'm gonna say 150.
It was 179. Josh is pretty good on that one.
Why would I say 400? The cup was supposed to be the most expensive product. I think I priced it over.
We just did a few days ago a 2021-22 cup checklist overview, and the comment I made to Troy is, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but because you brought it up, I think it's relevant that this year the cup is it's almost $200 a card, and if I get a Splendor card in the cup, I don't know if I feel great about that.
Well, so the idea with Splendor was kind of like, all right, so we can't make a more high-end product than the cup, but we, at least in terms of like a per pack cost, but Splendor was supposed to be actually a little bit more high-end, but you only got one hit per box. So I think like every hit in Splendor is out of 36 or less.
But then going back to the whole exquisite thing in Confusion, which you've already brought up, is
yes, yeah. Well, this is the idea when it came out.
Yeah,
not when anyone knew that it was going to be inserted into every cup set after that. Unless there's anything else you guys have on 17-18.
I just want to say on color coded, I'm actually a big fan. Do you like color coded, Troy?
I actually do. I like the blacks. I know you mentioned white, but I think the one that I see right there. Now I've never really seen these cards, but I'm actually a fan of different color autographs. So I love like the black and white, the white autograph or the silver, whatever it is, against the black. I think that looks fantastic, and it works with Bobby Orr. That picture actually really pops, I think, with that background and everything. So that card I love.
I do agree with you though, Mitch, that if color coded is in the cup, it shouldn't be in any other product.
Right. And I agree with you guys. I think aesthetically, the color coded are one of the nicer subsets that they've made in the cup, and I think they look even better in person. So if you've only seen a picture of it, like believe it or not, I actually think they look better when you're holding it and looking at it. I have one that I bought just because it like really popped out at me when I saw it in a showcase of Nicholas Lidstrom. I was like kind of blown away. It was the first time I saw one in person, and I'm like, okay, I'll splurge for this one. But I think they're great looking cards. It just of all the branding is I think this is kind of the point where it becomes very confusing as a collector, in my opinion. So we can move on to 2018-19 the cup. So let's take guesses.
Oh wait, I got to give you the. You got to rate it now.
Okay. 2017-18. I guess I should probably come up with some scale. All right, so I'll give 2016-17 a 7 out of 10, and I will give 2017-18 a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay.
I want your scale to be like 6 Mitches out of 10.
All right, so 6 Mitches out of 10 Mitches for 2017.
I know you asked about like qualifiers. Actually, when you do the rating, because the one thing that Upper Deck can't control is the rookie class, and I don't think that you kind of, and so that's like the just everything about the cup, despite who the checklist is, because that is
I didn't factor the rookie class into it, and it's we could argue whether or not Nolan Patrick and Nico Hischier signing with Leaf is Upper Deck's fault, but we weren't there for those discussions.
Sure.
So some people will make that argument. I probably wouldn't, but it's been said. So 2018-19, the Cup. So this is the last time we got a Cup product released in October after the Cup was awarded to the team of that season. We want to take a guess on the price.
You go first, Troy.
All right. I just feel like such an idiot when I do these. 425.
Okay.
If you really want to feel like an idiot, he should have had us give our guess in French. Then,
yeah.
And then
just have me read French names off and pricing and numbers. This was gonna be a bad joke. It's like I probably can't even say numbers in French, but they're the same.
I'm gonna say it goes back up to what did you say, Troy?
I said 425.
I'm gonna say 475.
All right, if you guys average your guesses, that's the correct answer. 450.
So we're totally tied. It's 1-1-1, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
We're keeping score. So this one I think aesthetically, in terms of the rookies. So let's see if we have them here. This is what I would say, at least in terms of the RPA design, out of all the years that we're discussing, this one's probably my favorite. I think these are really sharp looking, cup looking RPAs. I mean, to me, these really look like cup cards. They kind of check all the boxes for me from a design perspective. So I'm a big fan of this. And it's also, like the way that they frame the shields here, that looks great to me. The exquisites look great. So aesthetically, I'm a big fan of 18-19 rookie patch autographs from the Cup. So the out of 99 rookies for this year were Elias Pettersson, Andrei Svechnikov, Casey Middlestat, Eli Tolvanen, Jesperi Kakaniemi, and Brady Tkachuk. And there was an additional out of 99 with no autograph of Rasmus Dahlin. Same deal. He got poached by Leaf. Dahlin got poached, or Dahlin was not a Leaf guy, I think. He was just like Steiner or something. I should have looked that up. But either way, he was not signing Upper Deck cards his rookie year. And then the notable out of 249s, not any huge names, but Carter Hart, Robert Thomas, and Miro Heiskanen were out of 249 noteworthy RPAs in this set.
Well, then you talk a little bit about how these sets age over time. It's probably Elias Pettersson now would be the biggest name today.
Right? Oh, yeah, he was the biggest name when it came out too.
Okay.
Yeah,
but his stock has risen though a lot this year compared to
and he's having a great year. But yeah, we're at the point now where what I say in terms of who the big rookies are can age very poorly.
Yeah.
But at least as of today, that's kind of where it's at with those guys. So kind of going back to what we were talking about for 2017-18, in 2018-19, they decided to add Splendor to the Cup. So now we have 3 different brands in one Cup product. You have Exquisite, Splendor, and Cup, which a lot of people have strong feelings about. For the most part, people I know that like Splendor only like the 17-18 Splendor when it was a standalone product. I just, in my opinion, I really wish they would just use those autographs in that mem for more Cup subsets. I think those could really be better served building the Cup brand instead of fragmenting it further. That's just my opinion. I do think that adding Splendor really hurts the Cup brand. Just my opinion. Because like I said, I think it really fragments the branding, which I think is a big component for creating value, like brand equity and subsets, like things like limited logos and honorable numbers, emblems of endorsement. Like people don't really have any of that for these Splendor cards, and I don't really think Upper Deck has given us a good reason to add that to these Splendor cards, even though they are otherwise, they're not ugly cards in my opinion, and the checklists for Splendor are usually better than any of the regular Cup checklists for like a limited logos or something. But at the same time, they just don't have that hobby significance that are going to make people want to chase them. Outside the fact, in my opinion, what they have now is someone wants like a high end Joe Sakic or Nathan McKinnon autograph patch. It's like a starter high end way. It's like a way that I see people getting on card autograph patches of these players. Because they have the lowest demand among that subset of cards, in my opinion.
Do you have a theory as to why Upper Deck decided to do this? Was it just more content, a way to produce more boxes and get more content into the Cup without increasing the print runs of existing subsets?
Yeah, I think you're probably, you're probably on the right path for why it's happened. But I know that that's something that they're always looking at. How can we add more hits to the Cup? But in terms of why they would pick, making Splendor cards instead of new subsets with these same players who are, more usually high-end players that probably have more expensive autographs and more expensive memorabilia to buy. I really think that it could have been used elsewhere and for cards that the hobby would respond to better. But I think they wanted to make a new high-end brand. It's the only thing I can think of, but I don't think it's I think demonstrably it's not happened.
Yeah, what's interesting is right next to me was this card. I'm trying to not get the glare, but there's a 2018 Splendor Ray Bork.
Yeah, and it's a great looking card. Like I don't want to knock the aesthetics of the card because they do look good. But that's not the only thing. And the other thing, I think Splendor also has too many parallels, which is another reason why people probably aren't as into them as they might otherwise be. You have like a bunch of parallels that look mostly the same, and some even have like the same numbering, which is stuff you usually only see. Like I usually associate that type of thing with like Leaf, where they have like different parallels of the same card with the same numbering. So for me, it's a big turnoff for that reason.
Well, and I think like the theme what you've been talking about, and it resonates with me as well, and I'm not sure about you too, Troy, but is that the Cup is like should be like sacrosanct, right? Where it's like very tough barrier to entry and the very protected, take a set like Synergy and get weird with it and try and do whatever you want, but there should be stricter kind of rules or modus operandi in how you kind of treat the checklist with the Cup in your mind.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the other thing you're also seeing is that the checklists are getting smaller and smaller every year for individual subsets, which is another thing that I'm not a fan of as a set collector. So 0506 the Cup, most of the subsets are between 70 and 90 cards, like signature patches, limited logos, honorable numbers. And then today they're usually between 20 and 30 cards. I was going to get to this at the end, but it might be a good time to kind of break and just kind of show you what I mean by this. So here's how many limited logos are made per year, starting at 2016-17. There's 47 that year. In 18, there's 39. In 19, there was 29. In 20, there was 45, so they went up. But then it was 32. And then on the most recent checklist I just dropped, there's 18. And then here's those same numbers, but for honorable numbers. 2017, 32, then 21, then 22, then 29, then 21, and then 19. And then just as a point of comparison, 0506 Cup for honorable numbers has 81 cards. 0607 had 95 cards in that subset. And 0708 had 66 cards. So the difference in the size of the subsets is pretty dramatic. It's like triple what you compared to what it is today.
Any idea why?
I get the only thing I can think of, and I can't. I guess it's easier to get a bunch of different subsets of cards from a fewer number of players that they know are going to return the cards in a reasonable time frame. If you have, let's say 0607 in the Cup, you have 100 veterans with auto patch cards, and then in 2022 the Cup you might have 40, or I don't know the numbers, I'm just spitballing. It's a lot easier to get cards from 40 guys than 100 guys, but in my opinion, I'd rather cast a wider net, and then whoever doesn't send it back, those can be updates. I mean, maybe they're having issues just affording as many different contracts with veterans.
Sure.
But I couldn't tell you why. I mean, I guess of course it's easier. The fewer the players, the easier it is to make. So the only thing I can speculate is that it's just a way for them to cut cost.
Okay.
But I thought those numbers were worth sharing, because I hadn't. I always kind of knew the subsets were getting smaller, but I wasn't sure the extent of it, and I thought it was pretty illustrative. So moving on, 2018-19, they added another batch of Cup rookie tributes. So they had 10-11 through 13-14 for this year. So let's see if I can find those here. I think that was in the last one. Yeah, so here's I guess they reused 09-10 and 08-09. So they kept with the previous years, but now they added new ones. So here's 10-11, here's 13-14, here's 12-13, here's 11-12. It's mostly I think McDavid has one for every single year. My friend Matt put them all together at one point. So
what confuses me about that, and I think about new collectors, is that when you're opening up a box or you're looking at a card from 2018-19 the Cup, and you see a Connor McDavid and it says autographed rookie on it, to me that's just I get that it's a tribute and it's supposed to be going back to that design, but if you're going to do that in 2015 the Cup. It's because I think that people are gonna. What I worry about is that maybe a novice collector sees that on eBay and thinks it's a rookie card.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've had people message me several times in the past. People have made that exact mistake where they've bought a tribute card and they were 100% convinced that it was a rookie. They spent 4 figures on this card, and only to find out that it wasn't a real rookie card and it was a tribute.
But in their defense, it says rookie on it.
Right, yeah. If you're a new collector, why would you think that something that says rookie on it wasn't a rookie card?
Yeah.
So, it's another casualty of these types of choices. I personally don't like the tributes. The only ones I would maybe like are the 05-06 ones. I think aesthetically those ones look good, but once you start doing it for literally every single year of Cup, you're putting a lot, I think, on the collector to have memorized what every Cup RPA design looks like. Most people are not lunatics like I am, or they just kind of can look at any card and know what it is. So
there's in any decision in life, there's intended and unintended consequences. And so the intended consequence of a tribute is that, well, here's something that worked well in the past, so people will likely gravitate to it again. But I think one of the big unintended consequences in all the sets, based on the tributes and retros that we're seeing, is that it takes away from innovation. Because here's now a subs. Now I don't have to create anything new or try anything new, because I can just fill the checklist with stuff we've done before.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. That kind of just speaks to my disinterest with those cards. I do want to bring up also the limited logos. People were not happy. I remember there was a lot of people not happy with this design because it was by far the smallest autograph space.
Yeah.
And you can see here how tiny these autographs are. Like look at this Jonathan Marchessault. I mean, his autograph isn't great, but
Yeah.
really, and look how confined it is. It's a very small space to put.
These look very busy. Are they busy to you? In reference to other years, or is it just
I guess they're a little busier. They're a little busier. I'm trying to decide if the busyness of the patch is influencing how busy I think the card is, because these are pretty sick.
That's a good point. Yep.
But I do remember that being a big criticism of these limited logos is how small the autograph space was.
You may have answered this question before, but
yeah,
every year, is the patch window size for limited logos the same, or does that ever change?
So, I had a friend of mine who's a collector, who's like a graphics guy, and I tried to see if he could actually like measure in pixels the size of every limited logos, and they're definitely not all the same. But I don't know offhand how big each one is, or I don't remember, which one's the biggest or the smallest. I do remember people thinking that the most recent limited logos had a smaller patch window, but that one I actually measured and it wasn't smaller. It's just longer, so it gives the illusion that it's smaller. Whereas most of them are like box shaped like this, or they're like a shield shape kind of thing. And then you have to decide, well, am I going to count the patch that's underneath the card, which is because usually they cut it into a square, but as you can see, like there's not like the shape of the patch window is not a square. So it would be really interesting for someone to actually see that project through and then kind of rank all the limited logos by patch size. But I don't know, like, do people really care if it's like, 1 square millimeter bigger than another year? Sure. I think people probably just care more about the aesthetics. I'm really interested to see what the design is for the upcoming year, because they did not release it in the product preview. So that'll be interesting to see if they stick with the more long rectangle, or if they go back to a more quadrilateral looking design like this. So I guess we'll see. In terms of other new subsets, they have the trilaterals. I'm seeing if I have them here. So these are the OG trilateral cards. So the way these worked, the first year they had a jersey version out of 33, and they had a patch out of 3. And I believe only Ovechkin and Matthews had the unsigned patch. And then there's the rookie auto patch out of 13, which you can see here of just Barry Kotkaniemi. And then there's the vet auto patch, which was out of 3. I don't think they have any vet ones here. So you just have Clip Patterson and the Kotkaniemi auto patches out of 13. I think these are really nice looking cards. I think that with the size of the patch window not being very big, it's good that they're more scarce, as opposed to having a small patch window and then having a bunch of them. I think that would kind of detract from a lot of the appeal of them. And then they also added 1/1 parallels to the top 10 picks. I don't like this. Just Barry Kotkaniemi was not the first overall pick, So to add a 1-1 parallel to me kind of detracts from the theme of the card.
Yeah.
So you still have, this Brady Kachuk at 4. He was the 4th overall pick. So you still have the ones that I personally like. And then the other thing is that, and this is something we can talk about more, that I'm sure maybe you haven't had this thought exactly, but maybe you've kind of intuitively thought it, is that if you look at previous years of the Cup up until this year, there kind of looks like there's a theme to all the cards. And in my opinion, from 2018-19 on, every design doesn't seem to be related to, like, there's no theme to it. And I think having Splendor and Exquisite detracts from it. But if you look at, like, 0506 or 0607, all the Cup designs kind of look like they're from the same product. I think 0506 especially, that year was really special because from product to product, I think Upper Deck did an amazing job of making every card in the product look like it was from the same product. I think 2005 Ultimate kind of does this the best, and they even, across all 4 sports, Upper Deck used the same designs, and every subset in that product looks very distinctly 0506 Ultimate. But if you look at, like, if I'm scrolling through here, I don't see any kind of thematic design elements that apply from card to card. These are all from the same product, but really all look so different to me.
And I think too, you could add that's where the retros and tributes muddy the water.
Too, when you have all the retros, the tributes, the Splendor, the Exquisite, and then you have things like color coded, which look great, but they don't look like everything else. You have all these new designs. You have like trilaterals and the booklets. There's no cohesive element that makes the card look distinctly like it's from that product, which to me, I think is an important component of the collectability of the product, in my opinion.
So there's almost like no identity.
Yes. Yeah. I think it becomes more and more obvious as we go along. I think, 1920 has the same issue, and then it's, I think, a little bit more exacerbated in 2021. And then I'm sure we'll see the same thing in 21-22 based on what I can see in the product preview.
So I noticed that there was a Team Canada card in the Cup here too, as you were kind of scrolling through your examples.
About the McDavid, these ones.
Yeah, and then there's a 101. There's a bunch, and I'm just curious as to, it just made me want to ask you, and I'm sure that maybe or not this was the first year they did that, but what do you think of non-NHL jersey cards in the Cup?
I think that they can be done right. I don't like them as rookie tributes, but I like them in subsets where they are distinctly promoting the national team, like the program of excellence. I think those are well done.
Yeah.
But in these where they just do another tribute where all they do is put them in a Team Canada, personally, I think that's kind of lazy. It's just another, and then this card is not going to sell as a normal, McDavid auto patch at a 25 would sell for, because it says rookie on it. One of my big criticisms overall is that Upper Deck seems to be slapping the word rookie on anything, and people will pay more for it because it seems to be associated with a rookie card. I mean, if you look at like the Crosby and Ovechkin Young Gun Acetate, which was made in like their 12th season, I don't quote me on that, but it's something like that. Those are huge inserts that are worth, more than a lot of their rookie cards, because people will think of them as rookie parallels, even though they have nothing to do with a rookie card. They just copy the design element. And to me, this is all tied to a bigger issue of what is a rookie card. A lot of people, you have the Jack Eichel updates here in 1819. He finally signed with Upper Deck. So now these are fourth-year cards of Jack Eichel, and these outsell the rookie year cards because they have autographs on them, which, it kind of asks the question, what is it that the collector actually wants? Is it only the word rookie on the card? Is that all the collector cares about? And if so, then why? As a collector, I really struggle with this question and understanding it. I think like the fact that the Jack Eichel update, which was made after the unsigned one, is like a way more expensive card. He has a 15-16 limited logos with a game used patch. That's his only rookie year game used mem card. That's a $200 card at last sold at auction.
Yeah, it's crazy. He has no market. Troy and I have been talking about that recently, where he's even this year, I think he's on a 100-point pace for the first time. He's the defend on a team who's the defending Stanley Cup champion, and they're the number one team in the league. And
yeah, but look up what his fourth year cup update RPA sells for. It's way more.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is it that people care for? It's obviously not that it's game used or that it came out in the rookie year product. It looks like it's just that it says rookie and it has an autograph and it has a manufactured patch on it. Which I that's something where I think the hobby kind of gets it wrong on those, and obviously, the market decides what the market decides, but, I really struggle to answer the question of how we got to that point.
Well, I just go back to the whole, and I'm not saying it's intentionally, it's probably unintentionally deceptive, right? Where there's so many, there's too many nuances that you have to understand in this hobby that really become barriers of entry for new people to become collectors. Because it's like you look at this, and like we've been talking about, not only like the update that you're showing from 2018-19, the Cup, the Jack Eichel RPA, not only does it say rookie, it has rookie on it in like 80-point font twice, right? Well, 3 times. It says rookie 3 times on the front of the card.
Yeah. Well,
and
so for the Eichel in particular, I think they might have made these cards in his rookie year. I don't know that for a fact. I've heard people speculate that, but to me, that distinction is not important.
That's like a distinction without a difference, right? That's what.
Yeah, like if Upper Deck decided, because if that distinction was important, then if I'm Upper Deck, I'm making 10 new McDavid rookies his rookie year, and then just releasing one every year, and then just say, oh, we printed this in 2015.
Yeah, he didn't sign it, but now he did.
Yeah. So to me, that distinction should not be important. But that point has been made before, and I'm sure, even if that is the case, I don't think that should be much of a factor when trying to think about how much we want this card. This year also has
our solution is that we just think Troy should just decide what card is a rookie card and what isn't for the hobby.
Yeah,
I'm the arbiter of all rookie cards.
He just sits in a throne and gives rulings. He says, "This card is a rookie. This card is not a rookie."
So, Troy, is the Jack Eichel update a rookie card?
No, I give it the no.
Okay.
Thumbs down. Thumbs down or thumbs up.
So there's a few more new subsets in 2018-19. I don't know if I saw the Hall of Fame tribute cards here. So there's a first, and the reason it's important, it's the first time the Upper Deck put a manufactured patch into a cup card. So it was the Hall of Fame 75-25. So for those that don't know what that is, in 2018, the Hockey Hall of Fame had their 75-25 event to celebrate 75 years of the Hall of Fame and 25 years of the Hall of Fame being in Toronto. So for the first 50 years, the Hall of Fame was in Kingston because of a man named James Sutherland, who a lot of people call the father of hockey. He was from Kingston. He made the claim that is fairly contentious that hockey originated in Kingston. So the original Hall of Fame which he was probably the biggest part of. He put in Kingston, and then for the last 25 years, it's been in Toronto. So the Upper Deck kind of made a set that was in collaboration with the Hall of Fame in the Cup, where they had the logo for that. Let me see if I can find it. If I type in Hockey Hall of Fame 75-25. So they put this logo as a manufactured patch, and then they have the guys sign it who were in the Hall of Fame, who they have autograph deals with. But the thing, this type of manufactured patch actually doesn't offend me, because it's not impersonating a actual piece of memorabilia. I don't know how you guys feel about manufactured patches, but my feeling is if it's trying to impersonate a piece of memorabilia like the Black Diamond shields or like the puzzle pieces that look like they could be from actual patches or SP Game used letter marks, which a lot of people who are new to collecting think are game used patches, or those types of things those offend me because I think they're impersonating memorabilia, but something like this Hall of Fame patch does not. And the same goes for the other manufactured patch that Upper Deck put in the Cup the following year, the inked insignias. But I don't know. Do you guys have any feelings about those manufactured patches?
I'm 100% anti-manufactured patch. I can't stand them. I'm like total. I don't want to like go overboard here because people might love them, and I'm not. My opinion doesn't carry any more weight than any other person's opinion, but I just don't. It just seems so manufactured. I mean, it's like the perfect word. It's like manufactured instead of like authentic awesomeness. It's trying to manufacture awesomeness, and that just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know
You
what
even like it as a design element?
No, I don't want any. I see that word and I'm out.
Okay.
What about you, Troy?
I'm on the same wavelength. But I actually never looked at it that way, Mitch, where you said as long as it's not impersonating something, I actually can kind of get behind that. But again, I would never buy a card with a manufactured patch, probably. They're not my thing. Manufacture anything, patch, banner. I don't care what it is.
You're talking about that Hall of Fame logo. Like if that was on a card that was like foiled, they took that logo and foiled it, or even just printed it and then autographed it. I would much rather have that than a manufactured patch, because I think and if it's like anytime a patch is manufactured, it is muddying the waters between what is real and authentic and what isn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm not being totally clear there, but
no, I think there's definitely a lot to be said about that. And like to be clear, I don't collect any manufactured patches myself. I'm really just speaking towards what I think is should be praised or criticized in the hobby.
sure.
So I'll try to wrap up this here real quick. They also introduced the printing plate booklets, which in my opinion are actually cool, much cooler than just the individual printing plates that you pretty much got in every pack up until this year. So every Upper Deck Series 1 and 2 printing plate they made as a booklet. I don't know if they have any here.
But you get to see the whole like CMYK, each of the different plates for that, and they made that card, and that is kind of cool. I agree.
Yeah, I think those are cool. I think what they're doing now with the front and back with the autograph and the patch, I think that's cool too. I think they've done a lot to make printing plates more interesting. A lot of people have kind of cast them aside, but in my opinion, those two innovations make printing plates a lot cooler. And the only other thing I'll say is that they also introduced the rookie class out of 249. And that was the first time that they introduced cards into the Cup that were not base cards, that were just out of 249 like inserts, I guess. And a lot of people did not like that because it made it feel like, oh, now you're basically just getting like extra base cards. As far as I know, none of the out of 249 rookie class cards really have any value, even of top players. In the same with the following year when they introduced the all-time alum cards out of 249. Now there is also an autograph version of those cards out of 75, and there's a red one out of 5, and then there's a black 1 of 1 where they're supposed to put inscriptions. I think they haven't done a great job of making those inscriptions interesting. So in 2019, it just said class of 2019 as the inscription. In 2020, it just said 2020 rookie. And then in 2021, they put their debut date, which is a little more interesting, but at the same time, we already have that in the Future Watch set. So, I don't know what else they could put there, but to me, inscriptions are kind of distracting if they're not particularly interesting. I don't know how you guys feel about inscriptions.
I generally like them, but yeah, it needs to be something cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of it on that year. I know I feel like this is going pretty long. I don't know if I can be quicker, or if you guys, I don't know if you guys care if it's long.
It's going to be its own episode, Mitch. So
all right, if you guys don't care, then screw it. All right, so we're going to move on to 1920. So
how many Mitches did we give that one?
1819 gets I'm gonna give the design an 8 out of 10, and then I'm going to give the product itself a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
And then 1920. So this was, there was a lot of build up for this product. So this was the first cup release after COVID. People were really antsy to get this product. I don't know if this is like. Let me ask you this: how old is the Gong Show?
May of 2020. What year is it? 2022. So we had just
2022. Yeah,
we had not. This is before us, and so where we really kind of were knee deep in the new products would have started in 2020.
So how aware were you guys of this release?
I don't know if I was even aware of the cup when it came out.
Okay. I
mean, I was a pretty, my frame of reference was the 90s for hockey card collecting.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. So I wasn't sure if this would be the first one where you guys would maybe remember it, but either way. So why don't you guys take guesses then for how much this one cost at release?
I want to say, I thought I've looked this up. I wanted to say $750. But now I'm thinking like $1,000. I'll go right in the middle. I'm gonna go like $850.
Okay.
The first thing that came to mind is 800, so I'm gonna stick with that.
Okay, so the first pre-sale was 600.
Okay.
And then the second pre-sale after that one sold out was 800. And then
it was just deja vu.
The price on release day it was 1,000.
Oh, so there was a Connor Bedard rookie in it? Is that what you're
saying? Well, I'm a dummy too. I should have looked at the comments. There's people saying they can't. How are they asking? They're like, how are they asking $1,000?
Oh, yeah.
I just see that.
Yeah. So to kind of put this into perspective. So I told you guys in June of 2020, I paid $330 for a box of the cup, and then the meteoric rise of prices of cup boxes was. Like I could not believe what I was seeing when every 2 weeks I would check because I thought, well, surely the price has to come down because no one's paying, he was paying $800 for a box of the cup, and then it went to 1,000, and it's never come down since then. It's never gone below 1,000 in the last 2 years, which I think that's the most animated I've gotten since doing
you're all fired up. Well, and I was going to ask this question later on, but since we're talking about it, it might be appropriate now. So you have this at 1,000. It was $1,200 for 2020, and then it's like $1,100 now. So averaging it out ish, right? You're at like roughly. You buy a tin of the cup, and you're paying $200 a card at this point, and. At what point where, especially with the challenges in the secondary market, is it even possible to get value out of the cup? And it just seems like at $200 a card, that is a tough hill to climb to even get your, unless you get super lucky and hit just a massive card. And that's what I worry about, like a product, because I know that, and there's people that will say, well, I know that's why I don't buy wax. I buy singles, which I understand, but in order to buy singles, the product has to get bought and opened first.
Yeah, and I mean, I think obviously a huge component of that is group breaks, where if you're buying group break spots for Cup, it doesn't matter what the price of a box is, because you're not buying a box. If you can get all of the Penguins cards in a case for, I don't know, $300, and I'm a Penguins fan, and now you're thinking about it from that perspective, where, oh, a Sidney Crosby auto patch is $1,000, and I'm only paying $300 for this chance at a Crosby with my $300 Penguin spot. I could be way off here. I don't group break myself. But that's kind of, in my opinion, the type of mentality that has allowed these boxes to get to the prices that they're at. Because, I mean, as we can see, these products are getting broken all the time. I thought, because I kind of thought what you thought, that at these prices, who's going to open them? But the breakers have no problem ripping case after case after case.
Well, one of the things that has always stuck with me, and I can't remember which of the previous master classes on the Cup that you said this. It might have been the first one, where you I think went out of your way to make the point that for anyone that I think hasn't collected the Cup much, is that it's not as expensive on average as you would think. Sure, you see the $200,000 McDavid cards, but there's a lot of like really, really awesome Cup cards that are actually surprisingly affordable. So then I take that, and that is, that you made an impression with me in that, and then you look at the price per card, and it just doesn't seem like that it balances out.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an idea, like, I have a box in my closet that's probably have 100 cards in it, and that's just Cup cards that are $20 or less. So, and they're not base cards. They're autographs and patches. I mean, you can get Hall of Fame. I say this a lot. People don't believe me. You can get a Hall of Fame autograph Cup patch for $40 any day of the week.
Yeah, like a Lanny McDonald or something like that.
Or, yeah, like Steve Shutt. I mean, so, I think that's an important perspective to have when you're thinking about, these super high-end products that are thousands of dollars. Yeah, maybe the Makar RPA at a 99 is $7,000. I don't know how much it is today, but most of the cards are, like, I would say 99% of Cup cards are under $1,000. So that's kind of I think a healthy way of looking at it. So let's jump into this rookie crop. So actually, all the 99s are actually right here. Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes, Cody Glass, Kirby Dach, and Nick Suzuki. Then the notable out of 249 ones, in my opinion, are Igor Shesterkin, Adam Fox, Elvis Merzlikins, and Carter Verhage.
A really strong rookie class.
Yeah. I think it was a particularly strong rookie class, but I mean, I think it's also the case that, a lot of these guys still have to prove that they're going to be good. Sure. They are not far enough into their careers where we can really say that. And there's also Capo Caco out of 99. He was a Leaf exclusive signing. So he does not have signatures, I believe, in any Upper Deck product at this point. And he might not have warranted Upper Deck going after him at this point, unless he has, a big shift in his career trajectory, despite his draft pick.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, I'll say that there are also another batch of tribute cards in this Cup product slated 14, 15 to 17, 18. So let me see if I can find those in here. I guess they're not in here, but So they really just kind of did the full gamut of, or here's the 15-16 tribute of Austin Matthews. Here's 17-18 with Connor McDavid. Here's a McCarr in 05-06. And then here's the inked insignias we were talking about earlier. So these are manufactured patches with the team logo in them. To me, like I said, I don't really find these that offensive. Like, they're not cards I would buy, but I actually think they look kind of nice as a design component. I don't know if I would necessarily put them in the cup, but if I'm just judging the card on its own merits, I don't hate it.
And I do, and I
Yeah,
like, but this is where again I say that I'm probably the idiot in the room, because there's a similar card to these. I think it's Black Diamond, where it's team jumbo logos that are autographed, and it's almost like a premier mega patch, but with a manufactured full logo team patch in it. And the latest release was 2022-23, and like the Maddie Beniers cards were selling for like, and it's auto too, but we're like $600-800. And so it's like people like them, and just me having my opinion on it doesn't make it right. Of course, it's just my
sure.
opinion.
Yeah, I think the Black Diamond ones are a little bit more patch impersonators compared to this one or the Hall of Fame one, because these ones are screen printed, which to me makes them less like jersey patchy. Like, to me, I think they're more obvious that they're not trying to be representative of actual memorabilia. Does that resonate with you at all?
No, that makes sense.
And then, so these are another new set in 1920, the NHL collection. I actually think these cards look really nice aesthetically. I don't know, what I guess I don't really understand what the theme is with the NHL collection.
That was my first thought. I was like, what? Like, I don't really understand this card. What's the point? What's it differentiating?
Yeah, like, I don't know, what's the difference between the NHL collection and a signature patch besides the design. Like limited logos I can understand is like a bigger patch, and then an emblems of endorsement has the two patches, and the honorable numbers is numbered to the jersey card. With the NHL collection, I don't really understand what it's trying to be. I think they're at a 10, 5, and 25, but I will give it credit aesthetically. I do think they're nice looking cards, and the patches they used on them seem to be mostly pretty good. Here's another new subset for 2019-20 the Cup. These are the rookie logo autographed booklets. So these have the full Adidas logo, and then they're a booklet with a signature. The rookie ones are at a 3, and we also have veteran ones that are 1 of 1. I don't know why I got out of it. I don't hate these. I don't like booklets. I don't know how I feel about like the corporate branding. I'm very interested to see if they're going to put the ads on the jerseys into cup cards or any type of card. If they're going to try to, make the full thing into, like a monumental patch or something. I wonder how the hobby would respond to it. I think they probably wouldn't like it, because I think people generally don't really like brands. But, it's interesting because, like, if I see like a full CCM logo, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the nostalgic brand. Wait, doesn't Fanatics do the jerseys now? Can you see making a Fanatics patch card?
There's probably something in their contract. Josh, when I was thinking about this to me would be a good spot. Mitch, I don't know if you saw this. Baseball's doing where they're actually sewing on like first game patches.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I thought that might be something like this could. I mean, not the Adidas, we'll put that if hockey ever went that route, maybe put those in here. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a super cool thing that they did. It would be hard for Upper Deck to do it and not just be like blatantly ripping them off. Although, of course, I'd love to see it in hockey.
Yeah.
But I think though the point that Troy makes, and it goes back to my comment on the booklets we were looking at with the game ticket and then sort of the inscription, is that it captures that moment of time where here you have can you think of a better Connor Bedard card then it's too late for that because I'm sure the cup's already done. But then if he had a patch that was sewn on his jersey from his very first NHL game, and you had that full patch in a cup card, I mean, that
No,
would
I
be
could not think of a better card.
that would be it, right? That would be the and I think that this bleeds into what you were been talking about thematically, Mitch, where what the cup should be, right? It should represent the card of all cards, and undeniably, you just know that holy crap, here's a Connor Bedard first game complete patch 101. Nothing will ever beat this. No chance. No way. No how.
Yeah, no, I'm in full agreement there. In terms of other new sets in this product, I do have to mention the Overshadow. So this is a one-off subset that was not well received. If you
really
can't
tell me why. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, like we've always said, we like it when they try new things. I get it. This one doesn't work. Doesn't work for me. Obviously, didn't work for the hobby.
It's a white background with the player's silhouette, but then they put their face
on their
in
back.
the silhouette. I think they did something kind of like this too in the most recent
the forest, Universe. Right? The tree. Yeah.
Aspect from Metal Universe.
Yeah. So I hope that Upper Deck gives up on this design element because I don't know anyone that's a fan of these. I that's not true. I've met a few people that have actually liked them, but overall, they just don't look like cup cards. You know, do you guys know what I mean when I say that? I said it a few times.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I've never seen that card in my life. Have you ever seen one of those, Troy?
Nope. But the first thing that came to mind was that I was like, oh god, there was that recent card that came out that looked just like that, and I remember because me and Mitch talked about it at Burbank. We were talking. We were talking about that card. We were just like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that was luckily it was a one-off. You know, they like keep the trilaterals. I actually think these look pretty good. These look like cup cards to me. They're F3, like Timu Solani, beautiful signature. These are actually really nice to me. I think they did a great job with these. The emblems of endorsement too. I actually think was a pretty good design for them. And they kind of look like, you know, there's kind of some semblance of a theme here. Like you have like the exquisite endorsement relics where it kind of goes in like to the right, and then on the emblems of endorsement it goes to the left, and they you know they have a white top and bottom. That I like. The honorable numbers don't look like any of the other cards, so those you know I would love it if they kind of had that same theme going on. But you know, same thing with the limited logos design. I actually like this design overall, but a lot of the cards, not this one, and maybe they didn't put any of these in the product preview. Maybe you can kind of see it here. So Upper Deck made a number of products with these dots in this design where they fade into the autograph section from the non-autograph section. And it makes a lot of there's some that are way worse than this one, in this Austin Matthews, where the autograph becomes covered in dots. But it looks like the ones that they have for the product preview, I mean, there's like a couple here in this McDavid, but some of them are like half the autograph is like dotted. So that was an unfortunate oversight. You know, I'm sure like if Keith Tkachuk signed this tag up here, it would have that same issue. So I think they did that for 2 years, unfortunately, where it had that design element. And so here's the white color coded. I think these look. I actually think these look pretty nice. So they have the signature in the same color as their team. So Jack Hughes is red, Quinn Hughes is blue. I think they look pretty good. And then the other thing, the all-time alum cards. Let's see if I have them here.
There it is, Gretzky.
Yep. So this is another card, and you can see the dotting here in the top of the Y and the Gretzky. And so it's unfortunate, like a huge chunk of the autographs are just plagued with those dots, which for collectors is a huge turnoff. But so the all-time alum was another card where they put in another base type card into the product, so they're out of 249. So there's the parallel. Most of the autographs are out of 50 or 25, and then there's the red parallels out of 5, and there's also 1 of 1. I guess Gretzky tried to write the number 4 here.
I thought that said a cup 5. I was trying to I'm an idiot. So
it's
I'm like,
a cup 5.
Yeah, a cup 5, and then I'm like, oh,
it's supposed to be 4 cups, but he did not do a great job of writing that. And then I'll point this out too while we have this up here. So these are actually Oilers practice jerseys. So for those that don't know, the game used Oilers Gretzky patches are kind of the top of the mountain for Gretzky memorabilia. And when these came out, there was a lot of hype that Upper Deck might have gotten another Oilers jersey. Because they haven't had one since 2012, I believe, was the last product that had Oilers game used memorabilia. But in 2018-19 chronology, Upper Deck put out a Gretzky autograph patch from this jersey out of 5 with nice Oilers patches, and they put game used on the card. And there's been a lot of people caught holding the bag on that card where they buy it and it says game used, and then they find out that it was actually from a practice jersey. So if you're listening and you ever see that card, it has a red border, chronology, any Oilers patch, that's even remotely modern is going to be from this practice jersey. And they're still using some of that. They put it in the most recent cup product. In the the 0304 Exquisite Tribute features that practice jersey. So that's pretty much all I have on 1920 to Cup. Any other thoughts or comments, questions on that year?
We just need the Mitches.
Okay, Mitches. I'm going to give this one design. Well, I can't even judge the design because they're all so different. All right, I'm just going to say overall, I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
It is really, when you scroll through, if you're watching on YouTube, when you scroll through, it's really, you can see right away how there is, like you're talking about, that design flow. It's not there for a lot of these. There might be a little chunk where a couple of them are, like you were mentioning. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you keep going through them all, and they're just wildly all over the place. Maybe that's a decision they decided to go with now. I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, I know from talking to I run the Cup Facebook group. It's something that I see a lot of people complain about. That the designs are extremely disjointed. So I don't know anyone that would prefer it the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
what the impetus of that decision would be. But let's go to 2020-21, the Cup. This is the most recent release, which came February of this year, so 2 years later.
We better get the price right on this one, or else we're just going to stop the show. We're going to quit. I already take my guess. 1,254. It was ingrained in my head. That's what I think it is.
Yeah. That's yeah. I mean, depends. Where you got it from.
Probably 1,200 somewhere in there.
Pretty much 12 to 13.
Yeah,
anywhere in between, is what I saw. So I mean, right off the bat, I mean, I do have to give Upper Deck a lot of credit for how nice so many of their monumental patches were this year. Because I mean, they have, this is the second ever Gretzky monumental. It's the full G. Jersey. I mean, this Lemieux is just disgusting.
Even that wah, and I didn't think I'd be a fan of like that 75 logo, but that looks sweet on that wah card.
Yeah, I mean,
I love
these
that.
ones are definitely like, they're not just tapping the same types of monumental patches that we've seen a million times.
Yeah,
a lot of these were very cool, very unique. I give Upper Deck a lot of credit. For these monumental patches. They also have all the players' faces on them, which was a criticism of previous monumental designs. So I give Upper Deck a lot of credit for the most recent monumental patches. I don't know why for the cut autographs they put their faces on some of them, but not others. Maybe like just couldn't get the pictures for it. But all right, so let's get into the rookie class.
Yep.
So now we're at the point where you guys actually remember this product coming out. So
we don't remember what happened last week. So in theory, we do. In theory,
well, this one's a burn against Kaprizov. That's like, I'll always remember Kaprizov.
So we have Alexis Lafreniere, and then Tim Stützle, Dylan Cozens, Alexander Romanov, Kirill Kaprizov, and Bowen Byram. And then, there weren't a lot of out of 249 rookies that I thought were like pretty notable. I picked out 3. I mean, Jason Robertson, who might be the best rookie in the whole class. I mean, him and Kaprizov, I think, are pretty close. And then Jake Ottinger and Ilya Sorokin.
Yep.
And then, of course, I can't not bring up the huge release day scandal where, I think a lot of collectors, obviously there was a lot of outrage about the fact that Kaprizov and Sorokin were sticker autographs. But I think in my take on this is that what really upset collectors is that there was no mention of it. There was no Upper Deck intentionally left out all the Kaprizov and Sorokin cards from the product previews because they didn't want collectors to know that they were stickers before release. And I think that it was that type of deception that was most upsetting for collectors, because you had a lot of guys who, if you're buying wild group break spots in the cup before the product releases, and you're paying $1,000 for the wild in a cup case because you want Kirill Kaprizov cup RPAs, and there's no indication that he's going to be a sticker. I would be out of my mind if I spent all that money, and I would feel extremely deceived that they intentionally left those guys out of the product previews. So I think, it's one thing to have a situation where you just simply cannot get the guy to sign the card, which I believe is what happened. But I think, collectors deserve to know that ahead of the product release in the product preview.
And I actually think, if I remember right, I thought there was a Kaprizov on the preview, and it did not look like a sticker at all. It was like a monumental patch or something. I could have swore. I'm gonna look at it.
Well, so a lot of the initial sell sheet images will contain computer generated.
Gotcha. So I got you. Yep.
Yeah. So that could give some, and that's another aspect of it where it could give the illusion that Upper Deck already
right.
knows.
Yep. You're dead right. Yep.
Yeah, Upper Deck already knows that the product is going to be hard signed. If I'm a collector, I have no reason to believe that Kaprizov's going to be a sticker, because it's not like he's a sticker in Premier or Ultimate. Mm-hmm. But so in my opinion, I do think Upper Deck deserves some criticism for the way they handled that, not excluding those players from the product preview. I think a lot of people wasted a lot of money doing that, unfortunately. I will give them credit for another new subset that they created this year.
Well, actually, I do want to make a quick comment on that. Is that I agree that you're always best off letting people know beforehand and being very overt and very transparent about that sort of stuff. But we can just take their word for it. I mean, the other thing where I give Upper Deck a lot of credit is they'll actually come out and talk about this stuff. When it happens, they'll come on a show like ours and actually have the conversation. And while they didn't give us a play-by-play of exactly what happened, which they never would, and which is totally understandable, they did say that he wasn't going to sign, so it wasn't going to happen. And so the question out of that, and you've already brought this up, Mitch, but the question that comes to me for you as a cup expert is, what's better in this situation? Do you do the non-autographed versions like you had with Eichel and with some of the other guys, and then pray that a few years down the road you can throw an update in there? Or are you one of those guys that thinks, listen, a true rookie RPA should never have a sticker auto in the cup, that it's better not to, because Kaprizov's a big deal. It was a big deal in this set.
Yeah. So all right. In case my stance wasn't clear, I actually don't really fault Upper Deck for putting the sticker on the card. I believe Upper Deck when they say that they could not get him to sign the card, and I do think.
Too.
What was that?
I do too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree with you.
Yeah, and I also think that the sticker auto is better than no auto. Of course, hard sign is way better than a sticker, but I think I would rather have a sticker auto than no auto. And even I'm thinking about the David Pasternak Cup RPA, which is that was a redemption, and it just got to the point where he would not sign, and then years later they put the stickers on it and sent them out. I would much rather them put the sticker on it than not have no autograph. However, the thing that I take issue with was the conscious decision to not put the Kaprizov cards in the product preview.
Yep. No, I agree with you, and I think that's an important point.
That was a conscious choice that they made because he was the top rookie, at the time of release, and they decided we're not going to let collectors know that he's a sticker until they rip the product, which is, I think, not the time that you should discover that.
Well, the other point I've made too before, and this is sort of just anecdotal, I guess, on my part, is where maybe we need to cut Upper Deck a little slack in some cases, in that I just imagine being 23 years old and a multimillionaire and not at all wanting to sign my name 14,000 times on a card, with given all the cards that they're expected to sign. And we know that they don't get paid that much either. So it's like, I drive a Lamborghini and my hand hurts. I don't want to do this. And so I get why Upper Deck will get into these situations where a player says, I'm not doing it. I'm done.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't fault Upper Deck at all for Kaprizov deciding he doesn't want to sign cards. To me, that's not a black mark against them. To me, it's only the deception that I take issue with. So that's my stance on it. But hopefully, if it happens again, that they can be more transparent about it. But I guess that remains to be seen.
Well, and one little thing I want to say is that I know you use the word deception, and who knows if it was intentional or not on the part of Upper Deck. That I just don't want to maybe throw it out there that they intentionally. Or do you really think that they intentionally?
I think it had to be intentional. I mean, okay. And I know I wasn't there when they were making the decision, but if you look at, they show Romanov and Ottinger and Norris and Laffey and Stützle, and Kozins. Everyone knows that Kaprizov was the biggest player. Like, they knew when they were packing out the product that he was the biggest chase. And they didn't put out a single Kaprizov card. He's in every subset. So I mean, to me, I really don't see how that could have not been a conscious choice.
Oh, that was me. Sorry.
But
I was trying to mute.
Yeah. So that's just my opinion. I mean, I just, it's hard for me to see the other alternative to that. So I think we've said enough about the Kaprizov and the Sorokin stickers. So let's shift to something. Probably my favorite new thing in the set was this Captains United subset, where they actually took the C and the A from the jersey and they put them together in a booklet. This is the Panthers one. I'm a Panthers fan. So this is like the number one card I wanted out of the product. Unfortunately, I got sniped on it when it got pulled, so I don't have it. But I do think these cards are awesome. I hope that Upper Deck will continue to find cool ways to put these patches into cards. I think they look really cool. I mean, like the A from the Matthew Tkachuk, like with the flame.
Yeah,
I think
that's
pretty sweet.
Awesome. That's pretty sweet.
It's so cool. So I thought they did a great job on that. And then I mentioned it a little earlier, where they put the memorabilia and the autograph on the dual-sided plates. So they have the back of the printing plate, which is something they've never done before. I think these look really nice. I think it's a really cool way to kind of, do more with the printing plates. They're probably just throwing away the back of the printing plate before. So to do it this way is way cooler aesthetically. I'm still not a printing plate guy myself, but I can appreciate what they've done here. I think these are really cool.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So here's another new subset, the stick and move. To me, this doesn't really look like a cup card. I think the stick swatch is too small. And I think there's probably just a little bit too much color on the card. Oh, I fell the wrong way. And they also have autograph versions. There's a 101. And these ones definitely look better, but there's a lot of empty, space here. And, it's like these lines, I think, are supposed to mimic movements of a stick, but they don't even really make sense, like as stick movements to me. Like, I don't know. It just, this card to me, it's not really speaking to me as a cup card. Even like, his name is like gray instead of foil. I don't know. What do you guys think about these?
Looks like a Premier card to me.
Yeah, I do think it would fit really well into Premier. I would love, Cup to have like a big stick swatch, but this is like, I can't think of like another card that's just mem that's the small with no auto besides like early year like jersey and patch parallels, but those are base parallels, so they're not like their own subsets. But I mean, that's just my opinion. The Lamplighters is another new one. These ones, I think they look really cool, but again, they just don't really look like cup cards to me. Like these look like they could have gone into any product. I think these have been really cool in artifacts with the other acetate autograph cards. But as I don't dislike the way these look, but I don't think they thematically have a place in the cup. And then I have to bring up these, which probably are the most hated cup design I've ever seen. I've shown these to people and they think I'm joking that this is a cup design. I've heard, that this is not how they were intended to come out. But in my opinion, these actually should have just been scrapped. I know that these autographs cost money and the memorabilia costs money, but I feel like the damage that this does to the reputation of the product does not outweigh, keeping it in there. Because this to me, I mean, I just cannot, understand what was trying to happen here. Like, even if it was executed, the way it was intended to, having like this background of like the Earth's core, like I just can't understand how this could possibly make sense in the cup.
Well, what I thought out of this, and part of it is this is where you have to give a little bit of grace and license for trying new stuff, right? If you want to have big hits, sometimes you take big swings and you miss. What is really interesting to me about this, from what I understand about this process, is I take it as there's like obviously not like a prototyping process where, and I would think as a product designer that would be really scary to see, to design something in theory and on a computer screen and not to see a physical representation of it before you greenlight it for the set, at least even a prototype where you're like, oh yeah, this works, let's go ahead and do it, or oh, this is not going to work at all. And to not understand if it's going to work or not until it's too late. So I almost look at it, Mitch, like a manufacturing process flawed.
Well, yeah, we know. I mean, Mitch, you're right. We know. We've heard it straight from Upper Deck. I think that this was not how it was intended, these cards. And the whole prototyping thing makes sense. But I think they do prototypes on some. I just feel like something got really missed here. Either they had a prototype that they liked and then it went to manufacturing and blew up. But again, that doesn't take away from what this card looks like on the front. I mean, how it looks and with the theme of the cup. But
yeah, and you know, I'll give Upper Deck, you know, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But, you know, they're in kind of an impossible situation. You know, their printing facility is in Italy,
yeah,
which is backed up, you know, a crazy amount. And I understand, you know, they go to Italy, they ship them to California, and then they look like this. And then they're already, you know, so far back in line to print the cards, you know, to have them go back and do it again. And then even then it might not be right, because how do you even know until you print it?
yeah.
So it's kind of an impossible task to, you know, make cards and be able to revise them and, you know, do them the right way. I guess, you know, my criticism really just goes into the idea itself. I don't think could have, you know, even with the best execution, could have ever fit thematically into the product. So, you know, I understand. Oh, go ahead.
Every time I see this card, I think of Spaceballs and Lord Helmet, and like Connor McDavid.
Dark
like
Helmet.
Dark Helmet or whatever it was. He's wearing like some ridiculous like chemical helmet or something.
I haven't looked at it that way until you just said that, but I'm sure now I won't be able to unsee it. And then, you know, here's another new one, the signature unis away and home. That got a lot of criticism because, you know, it's just the floating heads on the cards. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's a lot of negative space here. You know, I'm not a fan of these. You know, I don't think most people are, as you know, as a reflection of the market prices on these. So the idea is you have the away one with the white swatches on top. I mean, you have the home ones with the orange swatches on top. So they have a home and an away jersey.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of a cool idea. I mean, maybe if it was a booklet and you had one on each side, that would, you know, make more sense. But, you know, I don't know anyone that has been a big fan of these. I do think, you know, this Foundations design, I actually quite like it. These look pretty nice. The other thing you have to note with this release, and, you know, for some people is a big deal. For me, it's not that big of a deal, but the font on the numbering from here on out goes to this new font from the Italian printer. So it's kind of the end of an era in a sense, in the way that the font of the numbering was. And that's something I particularly care about. I do kind of miss the, you know, old like cursive 1 of 1 versus, you know, just the printed old school one. But that's not a huge deal with me. But a lot of people have taken issue with that. But I mean, people are going to complain about everything. And not that I haven't spent like the last 2 hours complaining. And then here's the limited logo design we were talking about earlier. So you can see it's a lot longer. But so when this released, a lot of people were thinking that it was smaller. So this one I did measure, it's not smaller. So imagine if you squished it up to a square. I also think that maybe people overestimate how big the patches on a limited logos are. Like, people might think that the old design is like basically 2 of these on top of each other, but they're really not that big. They just do a really good job of framing the patch. I mean, they're bigger than almost all the other auto patches, but, you know, they're nowhere near as big as, say, like, imagine if this Monumental was just one card. It's way smaller than that. Usually, I would say maybe 60% of this would be a size of a limited logo on average. So I think people were a little too harsh with Upper Deck on that. I think that I actually like the design. This actually looks pretty slick to me. Do you guys like this design?
Yeah, I like clean designs, and I like the fact that, you know, one of the things I don't love about cards that have bigger patch windows and autos is the floating head thing, or when you don't see hardly, like maybe the shoulders and up view of the player, and so I like that you see more of, you get McDavid's like upper half of his body at least in the image. I really like this design personally.
Yeah, I like this design a lot. Another thing that is worth mentioning with this one is that the autograph on McDavid, I don't know if you guys noticed, it's different than the way he normally signs cards. So McDavid has two versions of his autograph. He has one that he does for like Upper Deck Authenticated and most of his in-person signatures, and then he has one that he does for cards. But for a select few cards from this yearly cup, he did his alternate signature, which I think is really cool. So, if you look at his, here's the NHL collection again. That's his normal signature on a card. But for the limited logos, and I think the show was another one that had the, I don't know if it's on here, but that's another one that had his alternate signature. Yeah, I guess it's not on here, but that's something that's a big chase for a lot of people. There's very few Connor McDavid limited logos, so that's a pretty big card. So that pretty much is everything I have to say about 2021 the Cup. My rating on it, probably 3 out of 10. In my opinion, it was the worst Cup release.
What are the top 3 quick reasons as to why?
Too many new subsets, and they missed on almost all of them, in my opinion. Again, the deception with the sticker autographs, they lose a lot of points with me for that one. Just the deciding to not scrap a card that was not up to their standards after printing it and just putting it into the product anyway. That is, it's hard for me to justify that kind of choice. I'm sure, as a cost decision, they have to have a certain number of hits in every pack, but I don't know what the alternative is. Maybe, I guess just, sell fewer of the product because, you couldn't execute. I mean, if they've admitted it themselves, it's hard for me to, understand, putting it in the product anyway. If you're a restaurant, and you don't have, fresh food, you're not going to serve food that's not good to your guests if you're if you care about your product and what people think about it. So I guess I guess that's why I would was that 2 reasons? All right, third reason is okay, so I didn't even touch on I touched on this a little bit earlier. So these exquisite retros, so they have a Gretzky and a Lemieux in this, and those cards have already been made. So they just made the same retro again, which
those cards were also in ice for 2020 as well.
Yeah, and so it doesn't make any sense to remake the same tribute of the same player on the same team in the same card. And I think it also detracts from the original Gretzky, which is, that's a real hobby grail, the one that went into 09-10 exquisite basketball. So I think it really, it kind of taints the card a little bit. So that's the last Cup product that we have. We can look at the
I want to look at 2021, the checklist really quickly with you, because there's a couple questions that I have, and one of them I just want to start off right off the bat, because I kind of been observing this as we talked about or have gone through the the set starting with 2016. Is I know one of the changes this year on, I think I'm right in this, is that in any multi player sign card, they've gone to all sticker autos. So where you're like we were looking at from I think it was 2016 or 2017. There's some beautiful like 3-way or trio autos that were all hard signed. And
yeah, so if you want to pull my screen back up, I can pull those back up. So here's one.
yeah, and I just want, to me, that's really sad that they're kind of, I don't know how to turn what the reason is, if it's just easier for them to do stickers, or if there's some that's making it impossible to get multiple players to sign the same card. But part of the magic of these cards to me has always been that, wow, both Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux touched and signed the same card.
Yeah. And I guess, what kind of, makes it so that I don't, what kind of makes me not want to collect the new cup releases is that I haven't really, and I know this is kind of a strong statement, but it really feels to me like the product gets worse every year. And it's hard for me to see in what way the product is improving. And if it were me, there were a lot of places that I would cut costs before I would do it to the cup, because you won't have anything better. And you can't. They literally aren't even allowed to make something better. So if this is your best, you're saying no more hard sign duels. That's you have all these.
It might be 3 and up, I think, are sticker now.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then still, those hard sign triples are beautiful cards. And maybe it's triples this year, but as a collector, it feels like, okay, maybe we're 2 years away from duels if it's not this year. It kind of feels like, and I don't mean to be.
So
like,
you're saying that they're like chipping away.
Yeah, I don't need to be a total doomer about it, but it does. And if anyone has a reason to think I'm wrong about this, I'd love to hear it. But I've not really been convinced that it's not going to keep getting worse and worse. Like we saw all those rookies from 21-22 get sticker autos and Ultimate. I wonder if Mo Sider is going to be, and Trevor Zegras are going to have, and Caulfield. Are all these guys going to be stickers and cup? And then, how is the hobby going to react to, the top 3 rookies in a cup class being all stickers?
And I go back to, it's almost $200 a card.
Yeah.
You're paying when you open a box of this. And the other question I had, and I'm not saying that this is even about this release, but I noticed this on the 2021-22 checklist, is that there's a limited logo subset, which is, of course, you have already mentioned, is smaller, but then there's also an exquisite limited logo subset. And that confuses me. It's like, why do you have 2 different limited logos cards from both the cup and exquisite in one product? Am I just the only one that seems kind of weird to, or does that make sense to you guys?
Well, so it's actually more than that. So you have the exquisite ones, which are just, a retread of what they did last year. So they did do these 0304 exquisite limited logos in the most recent cup. I didn't mention that. But then what to me is the much bigger foul that I'm seeing on this checklist. So you have the 18 card limited logos jumbo patch auto set checklist, but then you have a 16 card checklist of limited logos jumbo patches. So this year they've decided to make half of the limited logos unsigned.
Oh.
And to me, this
then it's no longer limited logos, right?
Well, they're calling it that, but I agree. But to me, this is a huge, when I say it feels like the cup's getting worse every year, this is a huge mistake to me. Like, this is really damaging to what I think is the single most valuable subset brand within the cup for veterans, which is the limited logos. If you're going to make half of them unsigned, I mean, that should, I mean, I hope that the hobby lets Upper Deck know that this is really a huge foul to make this choice. I'd much rather these cards not exist and just have the 18 cards as is.
Or don't call it limited logos.
Yeah, call it something else.
Call it something else, because just from the limited logos is my favorite Cup card. There's no card I don't like. I like it more than the rookie RPAs. I love limited logos.
Yeah, I mean, there are most people who collect the veteran auto patches. Most people within that group, their favorite subset is limited logos. And if you're going to make it something where every year half the checklist is going to have no autograph, I mean, that's going to really damage the perception that people have about. And I don't know, maybe Upper Deck doesn't realize that the limited logos is the most beloved subset they have in the Cup. But, this is really something I hate to see. I mean, I really, this is probably the most upsetting thing I've seen on the checklist. The other thing that I saw on here that I really did not like is this. So they're bringing back was one of my all-time favorite subsets, the Stanley Cup Titleists. So for those that don't know, I talked about this in the first masterclass, but in the first 5 years of the Cup, they released this subset called Titleist. I am very curious to see if they're going to use the same design, because for those first 5 years, it was always the same design. But it was either a jersey or a patch and an autograph, or some of them had no memorabilia at all, and they were numbered to how many Stanley Cups those guys won. But here it says they're all numbered to 10, which to me just feels needlessly lazy. I mean, I don't, maybe that's harsh, but to me, there's no reason why these couldn't be numbered to how many cups they won, and then these would be real grails, like an Ovechkin Titleist. If that was a 101, that'd be a huge product chase. I mean, I think that'd be a 5-figure product chase, and now it's out of 10, and it completely destroys the entire part of this subset that made it special. It was being numbered to how many cups they won. So, I understand now you get 100 cards instead of like 20, but it completely kills the value of them, in my opinion. Now they're just another subset. I mean, yeah, they all won cups, but
yeah,
it really kills it, in my opinion. So I know I've been very critical of Upper Deck in this episode. I
think it's all like we talked about, is like just being fair and having constructive criticism is the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone who's listening to this feels like I'm being unfair about any point, like I'm happy to discuss anything I've said. I am quite passionate about these cards. Almost everything I collect in the hobby is the Cup. So when I see things like this, I feel like kind of hurts the brand and the legacy and what makes these cards special. It does, it does get to me, and I have these feelings about it. So I apologize if I was overly negative, but I feel like my criticisms are warranted.
Is there anything on the 2021-22 checklist that jumped out to you in a positive way that you were happy to see?
There is going to be a Gretzky Rangers limited logos, which has never been made before. So I thought that was very cool to see.
I saw there's a Gretzky Lindros dual sign card as well too. I thought that was kind of cool. That has a Rangers theme to it, I believe.
Oh yeah, that is pretty cool. Hopefully, I mean, did it say Rangers for both of them? Like, I wouldn't surprise me to see Lindros on a flyer. Let's see. Is Gretzky, Messier, Oiler, Gretzky, Messier.
All-star team. No.
Yeah, we got Lindros. Gretzky Yzerman.
Oh, maybe that was the one. I thought I saw Gretzky Lindros. No, you know what? That's an Artifacts. That's an Artifacts. So it was the Yzerman one that I saw. But I just like to see like unique guys you don't like. You expect to see Gretzky and Messier paired together, or Gretzky and Yari Curry, but to see Gretzky and Yzerman on a card is kind of neat. Something different, right?
No, that is cool, and it's when they're on the All-Star team. And we haven't looked at the a product preview. Is that on here? Yeah. Well, so no. Do you happen to have the sell sheet handy?
No, I don't have it, and I think it's fine unless you can find it really quickly.
I think I can. Yeah, it should be right here. Wait, maybe it's not. Well, all right. Okay, so here's
the basics. Yeah, we got to get your.
So I posted in the Cup group when this was released that I was not pleased with what I saw, and again, this really ties back to the whole thing with the colors. Like to me, this design. I mean, obviously, minus the auto and the patch, but design-wise, this looks like an O-Pee-Chee card to me. Like in terms of the colors on the card, I don't understand. Like I guess at this point, anything can be a Cup design. If this is a Cup design, so I that one I didn't understand at all. I mean, am I off base here, or is this crazy?
I think this is the one like you can have that is going to be sort of the take it or leave it card, the 50-50. Some people love it, some people hate it, and maybe the big, like chemical composition last year, this is the big swing this year. And I thought I heard that somebody say that these actually look better in hand.
I still don't get the theme of it. What's the Venn diagram intersection supposed to represent? I get the patch, but to me, there's got to be.
What does that mean about basics?
Yeah, well, I just don't understand the theme.
I just don't understand the card. Like maybe it does look like my criticism isn't even that the design is bad. Like it's actually kind of a clean card, but it's just that it does not fit into the product. Like I just don't understand it as a Cup card. Like to me, why would you want something called the basics in your most luxurious high-end product you have?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that either. That's actually a pretty good point.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of people are going to listen to this episode and say like I whined and complained a lot, and they're probably right. But I'm just giving my honest opinions about each of these products. So
no, I think that makes total sense. And it's like I said, it's constructive criticism. I think you've been less negative maybe than you think. I think we've done a good balance of being complimentary and then pointing out things that we don't like. And it's important to remember they're just opinions too, and that's part of what makes a hobby great. It's very subjective, and some people might love chemical composition cards, and more power to them because it's going to be really cheap and not as much competition to get them. So I guess that's awesome. And what a tour through the Cup. And I keep thinking about the last couple minutes, Mitch, about just the sum total of all part 3 of these parts. And I think that I'm so glad that we did this because it is the most important set in hockey. And it's from the edict of the NHL to Upper Deck, that this is it, that this is the best of the best. And there's no more perfect of a person to have, taken us through this. So I'm really grateful for your time. And I think that people will love the information. And I maybe last question, but I sort of gleam out of it. Are you not going to be buying boxes of the Cup, or this one that comes out, or are you going to wait and see and buy singles selectively, or are you out entirely?
I mean, as of right now, I'm definitely not buying a box. I bought one in the last release because I have a friend who owns a shop who gave it to me at a very fair
Yeah.
price. And it came out the day before my birthday, so it was kind of like a treat for myself. So maybe I'll see something in here that I decide, oh, that actually looks really cool, and I haven't seen enough of it. I don't know what the limited logos look like or the honorable numbers, like this, the subsets that I usually gravitate towards.
Yeah.
But I held out hope that this was going to be the year that Phil Esposito got limited logos because he had an ultimate auto patch. And I'm like, oh, they got a New Jersey. Maybe this is it, because he surprisingly has never had one. But not to be. But if a card like that, if in a future product, that'd be something I would chase. Phil Esposito is kind of my cup guy, and I want all of his auto patches. But as of right now, there's nothing that kind of popped out on the checklist. But maybe I'll look at the preview and I'll see something like last year when I saw that Panthers Captains United card.
Yeah.
That was a card I didn't know I would want to chase, even though I didn't get it. So we'll see. I'm despite my criticism, I always approach all of them with an open mind, and if something looks really good and attracts me as a collector, then I'm happy to go after it.
Awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much again for your time. What a treat. And if anyone, again, we'll put in the description Masterclass Part 1, which covers the first early run, the Carvin Chung era of the cup, and then 2011, 12 through 2015, 16, and then obviously there's this edition as well. And I think that you just did an awesome job, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, guys. It was really a blast kind of going through each year and breaking it all down. So really enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, Mitch, talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right, we're back, Troy. Many thanks to Mitch. Again, if you think about the 3 different master classes, that's like 6 hours. Well, not that long. Probably 4.5 hours of total recording and all the research that went into
That's
that.
the thing. He's got so much knowledge in his head, but he also did a ton of research to back up all his knowledge, and it's very evident once you watch those master classes. And this one might have been the longest, I think, the part 3.
Yeah.
I think we went over a couple hours, if I remember right.
It is a lot of work, and for these master classes, we're actually very upfront with people, and we ask them to do a lot of work, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of a weird and awkward position to be in, to say, "Hey, would you want to do this?" But just so you know, it'll be a lot of work, and he's very gracious, just like everyone else has been. You know what the worst part of interviewing people, my biggest flaw, and well, you were there too, so maybe chalk us both up for this. But what do we forget every single time when somebody is so kind to us, takes the time to come on our show?
Yes, I know exactly what it is. Shout outs, or shout out your stuff.
Yeah, we forget to say, "Hey, you want to plug anything?" You've just given 2 hours of your life, and
well, we're gonna do that now.
We'll do that. We're gonna do that now because we're such boneheads. So again, thank you, Mitch. Very, very much so appreciate it. Be sure to follow Mitch on Instagram. Let's get him a bunch of new followers. It's at Gropman_cards, GROPMAN_cards. Another account that Mitch runs, which I think is an awesome thing for the hockey hobby, is at fake_hockey_patches, where he tracks and catalogs known hockey cards that have fake patches, where he'll show the before kind of an after picture. And that's a lot of work, but man, is that kind of critical for a lot of these very important cards in the hobby. And then I also think Mitch is involved with, I don't know if it's the biggest, but probably the most known Facebook group on the cup as well.
Yep.
So go look up the cup Facebook groups and you'll run into him there too.
I keep forgetting to ask Mitch, I can't imagine the day when Upper Deck or whoever has the hockey license decides to finally start documenting all these fake patches, or just what the patches look like out of each release, and we can stop doing it or have a third party do it like Mitch, who puts in a ton of time. But I think Mitch likes doing it, and it's such a good resource for the hobby.
But I just love how, and there's lots of people in the hobby like Mitch, but he's a great example of people that give back to the hobby as well, right? They get enjoyment out of it and then kind of take on these initiatives to help out the community a little bit. So I think that that's pretty awesome. Well, that's our show. If you like the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, you want to support us, want to chat with us on the Hockey Cards Gong Show Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description or YouTube description, in our Instagram and TikTok profiles. You go to our website and find the link there, hockeycardsgongshow.com, or search the Patreon website. It's Patreon is patreon.com for Hockey Cards Gong Show. You can find our Patreon profile there too as well. We're on social media. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures, LLC. Merry Christmas, everyone. We'll see you all on Thursday.